The Middle East crisis is not like that. The Middle East crisis is really getting worse and worse. It is intensifying looming threats to the West. It is fomenting anger that is metastasizing around the world. And of course, at the same time, the centrifuges are spinning in Tehran and other cities in Iran. Since we adopted our policy by rejecting Iran's offer to negotiate with us in 2003, the number of centrifuges in Iran has increased by about tenfold. So the policy of not talking to them is definitely not working if our goal is to try to get them to reduce their nuclear ambitions. Now, as the United States looks at that part of the world, to me, the most important thing is that we realize we have to break out of the old paradigm, the old rut, the old Cold War approach to that part of the world. We need some radical new thinking. The Cold War has been over for 20 years. The strategic environment in the Middle East has changed dramatically. The challenges that we face coming out of that region are changed, and there are even new opportunities for us there. But our policy has not changed. There's probably no place in the world where our policy has remained more stagnant in the face of more dramatic change in the region than the Middle East. You know, Einstein famously defined insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's what we're doing in the Middle East. We are caught in such a very narrow spectrum of options that any original thinking is viewed with horror as some kind of a bacteria that could be the beginning of some terrible disease that must be stamped out immediately before it infects the whole foreign policy process. So it's that kind of original thinking that I think we need. During the Cold War, we based our approach to the Middle East mainly according to the perceived interests of Saudi Arabia and Israel. Essentially, the operative principle was what Saudi Arabia wants, Saudi Arabia gets. What Israel wants, Israel gets. That was the Washington approach to the Middle East. Now, it's usually thought that our relationship with Saudi Arabia is based mainly on oil, and our relationship with Israel is based largely on our shared history and values. There is truth to both of those cliches, but that's not the whole story. One of the sections in my book, and I found in the last few days that this is one that many people were quite surprised at, is about one of the hidden reasons why we were so close with Israel and Saudi Arabia during the Cold War, and that is that these are the two countries that were willing and able to give us covert, clandestine help in our Cold War operations around the world. We had a lot of supporters during the Cold War period, but those were supporters that wanted to support us in the light of day, at the United Nations or in public. America needed other kinds of support during the Cold War. We needed people that would help us in the shadows.